Welcome to the social circle where creators come together to turn ideas into impact and goals into reality. I am Candace, and this is
Jennifer, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm so excited that you guys are here with us, joining us from wherever you are, and I cannot wait to get into today's episode.
today we are breaking down stuff that trips up brand new and expert creators, and that's metrics. Which ones matter, which ones don't. And unfortunately, yes, that involves numbers for everyone that hates them like I do.
They're not scary numbers, right? They're informative, and that's the key takeaway from today. I think that a lot of people, one, aren't sure how to read, and two, you might just be too early on that you can't have anything yet. But then if you've already been posting for a minute, this is definitely something that you want to consider and kind of research on your own when you're hitting those numbers and you're like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah, and which ones matter. So, do you want to take us into the circle hack?
The most informative analytics that anyone should be really considering, in my opinion, shares and your saves. I feel like shares and saves kind of can be bundled into the same because essentially that would be the best indicator that your content is actually doing what it's meant to do, which is reach people. The next one would be to check out your comment section, how much feedback you're getting from people. That's very important as well because that leads to so much more conversation opportunities for yourself with your community that you're trying to build. And in my opinion, the last analytic that is excessively important to you is the account reach total. Like overall, is your reach increasing? Are your numbers looking in the green? And we'll talk about that in a little bit further. But those to me have been the things that I have been checking on my own accounts when I'm looking in my analytics to see how my growth is for my account. Candace, do you
Yeah.
have any other ideas or suggestions or disagreements
No,
even?
no, those are spot on. I mean, obviously, saves and shares. Talk about that all the time because they're important. They signal value more than a like ever will. If
Oh,
somebody's
yeah.
sharing it with somebody else, that's better than them hitting the like button.
And that even comes not from us, not from our experience. That comes from the top CEO guy, right? Missouri. He
Yes, I
says
am.
that that is the effective thing to be doing when using social media, especially with Instagram, specifically speaking, because that's the whole foundation of Instagram is to have that community connection from one creator to another. And that information is just so informative that, or fun, relatable, doesn't matter. It's just something that somebody is like, oh my God, I have to tell this to someone. And then they share it and they send it. And that's where the algorithm picks up on that. And that's what helps get your account or your reach to go a lot further. So it's like a whole bunch of little things that add up when you're doing your, self audits on your account, and they just help you longer and longer down the road. So that is something that I'm always checking on my own. I think I do a deep dive once a month. Candace, how often are you checking on your own analytics?
Oh man. I do a deep dive as well. I feel like quarterly. I'm definitely checking my analytics at least once a week across all the platforms, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And I just recently started looking at Facebook too because I'm not very familiar with that. And, you know, this is the metrics that are driving growth and conversions. That's not
Oh, yeah.
vanity metrics. People,
And
when somebody says to me, "Oh, I had a video that had a lot of views," and I look at it, it's got 2 likes and it's got 20,000 views. There's something not adding up there.
totally. Yeah, that's the thing that a lot of creators either neglect or they don't think of. Going viral and getting a lot of views on a reel. I can talk today, guys. Going viral and getting a lot of views is simply your ego getting pretty much brushed, right? You're just
Mhm.
super excited that anybody's looking at your video. If you're not seeing a lot of those real time shares, saves, comments, but you're getting some likes and you're getting a lot of looks, that really doesn't calculate or help you in the long run to figure out what it is your purpose is on your account. So that's definitely something to remind yourself of. We're not here to fluff you. We're not here to just blow smoke up your ass, guys. We're here to let you know that going viral is a great thing. And when it does happen and you hit all those analytics, that's an awesome, awesome movement for you. But if you're here because you think getting viral views is like the only way to grow, I'm telling you right now, it is a way. It is possible. It's not very beneficial for you if you're not getting those shares and the saves and the comments on that. I'm just putting it out there for you.
That's so 100% true because you've got to have the engagement. You have to have the engagement, right? And we're talking Instagram right now, saves, shares, and when they hit that follow button, of course, you want to look at your reach, like you said, make
Exactly.
sure everything is in the green.
Yes. And when I talk about everything being in the green, what I mean is when you're going through and you're looking at your professional dashboard, you are looking for basically your last 7 days, your last 14 days, and your last 30 days. Those are going to be the most informative for yourself to see, how trending are you currently in the last 7 days, the last 14 days, or the last 30 even. And it'll give you the overall. I know if I'm going upwards in my green, my numbers are looking like they're positives or green coloring. That's what it is. That's a good thing. You are something to be desired. And now you know that what you have done in the last week, 14 or 30 days, is something that people are wanting to see. So make more of that, basically, is all
Right.
that means, guys. And that's the reason that important analytic.
Yes. Look at your story taps too, right? How many people have clicked on your links? That's something else to look at in Instagram. I look at that a lot to see how many people are clicking but aren't converting.
And that's an informative thing too, because then that helps you understand, okay, if they got into my story, they clicked on the link from the story that I shared, but they aren't going to my link and then saying, oh my God, I have to have whatever's in that link. That tells you that something is either wrong with the link, number one, or number two, there's information that's on that link that leads to something that is just kind of saying, ooh, to the person who's hopefully going to be a customer. So, all very informative things just to investigate when you're doing your downtime, when you're trying to figure out what I'm going to do. This is all extremely helpful for you.
Yeah, switching gears, I would say watch time is important as well across platforms, but I'm going to scooch over to TikTok really quick because I feel like it's a little bit different when it comes to how quickly a platform expects a video to maybe go viral or have that engagement. I think Instagram and Facebook is a longer game where you're not really checking it for at least 48 hours because so many things can change between now and then, right? But TikTok is like an immediate thing. If it doesn't get that engagement immediately, it kind of goes to the bottom of the pile, I feel like.
I'm not really using TikTok personally, but I think that's something that we've talked about in the past where you've run that test yourself and you've noticed that as a key factor. And I think that's honestly why, like 2019, 2020 era, a lot of people were using TikTok as their primary platforms for social
Mhm.
media usage because it was such a here now fast response, kind of inflated people a little bit, in my opinion, that they're like, oh my God, I'm going viral. So everything I'm doing is amazing and it's going to be doing well for a long time. Then they realize down the road, well, in reality, it, the people that are watching my content from the viral stuff, they may not be watching my content from the non-viral stuff. And so it's definitely something to keep in mind when you're looking through your own analytics on any platform, TikTok included. And I think that's a really good thing to notice because when you take your content and you repurpose it from TikTok over to Instagram, if it did really well on TikTok and it doesn't do as well on Instagram, it doesn't really mean anything's wrong. It just means, or is an indicator to yourself that you have different people watching, different kinds of audiences, or liking different things on different platforms. And so there's just a good opportunity to start testing your own stuff across those different followings, those different kinds of audiences to see, change one thing from my TikTok video, will it perform better or worse on another platform? Again, marketing, when we get into the nitty-gritty of it, marketing is a whole series of testing. And that's something that when you're getting started, it's very daunting and very scary. But through the process of failing and learning is how you're going to do a whole lot better and improve as a content creator. I can't, it all goes hand in hand, guys, marketing and creating content. If you're trying to sell your own photographs that you're taking pictures of, beautiful locations and awesome vacation spots and all of these things, but you just don't know exactly how to put that out on social media, it's just a series of testing different ways to showcase what you have that is special that somebody else might want to buy as an opportunity. And it's just learning the marketing behind the content creating.
How do you use all this data to fix your strategy or tweak something? Obviously, we talked earlier about, have a video that has a lot of views, but it doesn't have a lot of engagement, no likes, no shares, no saves, no comments.
Right.
That is a indication that the video was good. The video got people to watch and rewatch. But there was something in your messaging, there was something in your copy that just it didn't fit, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's a big indicator, I would say, when your video does really, really well, knowing what's in the video and why. I think there was a creator that we studied that they didn't understand why it went viral. They're a fitness person and they were trying to give a tip in their copy, but the video and the copy didn't work together very well. But when you watch the video, it's like it's the woman sitting and she's on a workout machine and she's in reverse. So you just get to see the backside of her and she's doing whatever she's doing, but the copy isn't really hitting very well. And she's like, but I got thousands of views on this and I'm not getting any feedback on what I'm saying from my copy. And she's like, I don't understand it. And we're just like, well, first off, the video, you're just getting looky-loos, right? People are just watching what you're doing and they're not feeling it with what you're saying. So it's definitely something to experiment with. So you know that that video will grab the attention because you want that, right? You want that visual hook along with the readable hook. And that's just a way for you to say, okay, I know that video will just nail it on the next time I try. Let me see what kind of copy I can do. And that's when you start to play around with whatever your idea is. If your first copy didn't work, maybe don't scrap it. Try and play with it in ChatGPT. See what else is like a trending hook that's current right now in the app. Do a meta research. Instagram has one. I think TikTok has one. And run searches using specific tools inside of those platforms and find out what is trending so that you can reuse the same video or maybe even the audio and then just play around with the copy and change things up a little bit. Do a couple of different versions of what that is. That's one idea, guys. There's infinite ways to do this, but that's just one example of how you can test something that the video did really awesome, but the rest of it just kind of floundered for you and you can't figure it out, but you want to. So now this is the process that you should try doing when you're seeing that your video is getting a lot of eyeballs on it, but there's no save, shares, comments, right? It's not a lot of people saying, oh, this is amazing, or oh my God, I feel this. Just that chance to take that copy and just kind of rework it a little bit. Also, in your captions or your descriptions on the video, there might be something missing, right? You may not have a call to action where people aren't being told in your captions what they need to do in order for you to get that kind of engagement that you're wanting. So if your goal is to grow, typically we suggest that you say follow for more or follow if you just constantly asking somebody to hit the follow button. You have a freebie or giveaway, say, DM freebie or whatever example you have, and then that should hopefully get some people in there. So it's a couple of different things that you got to check out, but this is definitely a way to take your analytics and rework what isn't working and make it work for you on a future option.
You have to remember that every creator you see, everybody you see, hopefully online, is testing. Like you said, everything is a test, and they're using all of this data to either double down on what works or scrap what doesn't. And you you don't need a degree in analytics. It's super easy. You just have to look at your engagement and your reach and your follows and all of that. What can you do? In the meantime, we talked about you could change up your hook. You said call to action. Same, like you also mentioned that. Make sure you tell people to follow you if you're trying to grow. Make it as simple as possible. and tell people what you want them to do. So it makes their life easier. Because, I mean, that's what you would want on the other side of the phone. That's what I want. Make my life easier. Save me some time.
Yeah, actually it's funny because where I work at, the billboard that we have in our office is, one touch resolution. That's the whole goal of everybody that works on what we do in my job, my 9 to 5. And that's just the same as with people who are coming on to social media to do something. Your intention is to have someone follow or buy if you're here for, what we think you're here for. So getting the community trust comes from showing up with content that people like to see, and then eventually down the road you've built up that trust to now the point where they're able to say, I believe in what you're talking about and I'm ready to just buy. At that point, that's when you want to make sure you're telling those people in that one reel, this is where you buy, do this. So it definitely clears things up a lot better when you can just tell them exactly what it is they need to do and when.
Yes, your hook is the important thing, and your hook depends on your audience too. That's also another reason why you look at those analytics because you have to know your audience. So,
Agreed.
I have the honor, really, of being in a meta creators group, and it's just different creators from all over the globe that are in all different niches. And it's like my favorite Zoom every Friday because besides our Monday, like our Monday Zoom, our motivation, and then this Friday Zoom to close me out, like good for my brain and my mental health. But we have this group inside of like Facebook and Instagram that is private, and it's just the different creators. And we help each other out. We ask questions. And something that they asked, and it got a ton of really great engagement and suggestions, was what is your absolute must know hack for content creation, editing, engagement, anything content creator related? And it's so funny. I gave my hack, right, which has a bunch of likes and comments at this point. But this is my comment. It's ridiculously simple, but most overlooked. Clean your camera lens before you film and use the back camera.
And very simple, very
So
easy to do,
simple, but so true,
very
right?
forgotten.
Right. Here's another one that I also used, and we talked about it with Shannon McKinstry when we had her on the podcast, is testing thoughts on threads first to see if anybody likes it, if anybody finds it relatable, and then turning that into a reel.
I think that's an amazing idea. I think we've been doing this for a while with Threads, right? It's recently new in the last 2025 year, I think. For today's recording episode, Threads is still around in the future. I do hope it is because I feel like it's a very nice extension from Instagram. Now is focusing on Reels, whereas Threads is focusing kind of on posts where people just write like a Facebook post, and it's getting a lot of traction on there for that reason. And I think what we talked about with the podcast with Shannon McKinstry to take your idea and just totally test that out. And I think I saw your post too, and I'm like, this is actually getting a lot of traction already from just the very simple, and that's what people love, right? Is that snack size simple takeaway idea that you can take and turn around. And I think you've been able to actually take that from your Zoom calls, right, over to
Yeah.
Threads. And now you didn't you make a carousel as well
Yep.
or a post?
Yep.
Yeah. See, so
Yeah, you're
she
just
actually did
repurposing.
multi things. Yeah, you repurpose. You're multifaceting your content so that you're not rewriting the wheel every time you want to come up with an idea. And this is how you use your time the best. And I know we've
Yep.
had that episode before. We've talked about it inside of our social circle community. So, just that very real time example of what Candace has been able to do. Same for myself. I have quotes that I love. And I try to repost those onto Threads. And then if I get the traction that I was hoping for, that becomes something that I use in my main feed on my account. Or you can also turn those into emails if they work out well, because not every email that you have with a customer needs to be a long, written out, drawn out thing. It could just be a simple, here's a snack size tidbit for you guys today. Blah, blah, blah. Use the back
Yeah,
phone, clean the lens.
here's a great engagement hack that somebody wrote. Reply to every single comment in the first hour of your post. to boost the post visibility, right? So if you're getting
Oh
that
yeah.
those comments and engagement, make sure you're replying to them.
Heck
And
yes,
then,
that's something that gets forgotten about a lot too. You get busy, you don't go back, you don't think you have to. It helps, guys.
yeah, and this one, what I want to close it out with, because this is so true. If you don't enjoy what you're putting out, nobody else will. Create content that brings you joy, and those that like it will come with time. And I love that. That was by someone in the group. Literally, Cheeks is their Instagram handle, but
That's
that
awesome.
that so true because I felt so confined in the beginning, and as soon as I was able to release that is when I started to grow more.
And people feel through video when they're watching. So, I mean, that makes you follow somebody in the beginning, right? When you're not actually thinking about it, but you're scrolling on your feed and you're bored or you're looking for just a way to kill time, and then you find a useful tip. Like I'm this one creator who does cooking hacks and cleaning tips and things like that, but then he's also talking politics on the. It's a really good combination of how he has able to take a recipe and make it a very nice analysis for a political statement that he's making. So I think it's all in how you decide to show up. People are just hungry for what you are. It just, you have to like Candace said, we were very confined feeling when we got started because we were following a very cookie cutter framework for creating content at the time that we were starting this stuff. And over time, we learned that the best way to show up is just your original authentic self. And I think I remember always thinking, I don't know who I am, so I can't feel what my content is yet because I'm still stuck in my own personal life. Like, I know what I'm doing, so I don't feel imposter syndrome showed up like all the time, guys. And it still does some
Amen.
days
Oh,
because,
yes.
yeah, you don't get that immediate reaction some days, but then you have to remind yourself that while you're waiting for like the stuff that's going to come to you when you're doing your stuff, you're in that whole I don't know if I'm doing it right. I just doesn't feel like I've on the
Yeah.
right track. All of those feelings are very I think that it just comes down to people connect through what they see. And if you're totally enjoying what you're doing, it's connecting with other people. And I think that's the biggest takeaway. And I'm so glad you mentioned that because it's very important. I got told recently that some of my stuff makes me look like I'm in a hostage situation trying to be funny. And I will not let that go because that one hit hard for me. It was a personal takeaway that I looked back at my stuff on my own and I'm like, I feel this now. And I didn't understand that before, but now I understand that now. So it's like a whole new mission for me. And you can always pivot, guys. Whenever you think that something may not be working, you can always pivot into a new direction. Just keep in mind when you do, there's some lag time behind that, but still, it's definitely that connection through your content is so real. I'm so glad you brought that up. It's an exciting topic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it is. It's about building a community. And speaking of community, inside the VIP circle, we just finished week 12 of the boot camp.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yes. And it's super cool because it kind of is the culmination of everything. And it's just, we talked about scaling your business, right? 12 weeks beforehand, you started overwhelmed and scared. And then you go through this journey with mindset and content creation and building your business. And now you're going to grow that. And it's taken so long to get to this point, like in our own journeys. And I'm just grateful that we can now give and put all of that into the community and teach others. And not just as content creators, but as CEOs of their brand. They are the brand. So,
I think that's so awesome that you're saying that because a lot of people, when they start, when they're trying, they just let so much get in the way. And for the people who try and try again and keep coming back and keep taking hit after hit after hit, it's only building to your own character that you're meant to do what it is you're trying, what you started to do. And I think that if you can just keep that in the back corner recesses of your hidden minds, remind yourself once in a while, this is all a journey. This all takes a long time. Some people take off in less than 30 days. Some people take 30 months. It all will happen at the time that you are meant to have it happen to you. And I think that is something that is so profound that I just was like so frustrated. Why isn't this happening for me right now? I wasn't ready for it because I wasn't educated enough and I wasn't trying enough. So I think if you're able to come back every single time and keep on trying and keep on pushing, it's definitely going to happen for you. It does take that time. And I love the boot camp and how it shows all of that through that time. But if you are just getting started or you haven't tried out the boot camp, I definitely highly suggest it because it's experience that teaches you while you're doing it. So I think it's something that is so helpful for you. And I agree with Candace. It's just there's so much knowledge that we've had in this time, and just putting it all into that, it's something that's very, very helpful for you.
Yeah, and it starts with knowing your analytics and looking at your numbers and picking posts that do well and seeing
Making
how
more.
you can recreate them over and
Yep.
over and over. That's what this is, right? Repetition.
Oh, yeah. So, guys, I think that'll wrap up for today's episode. I'm so thankful that you're here. And if you guys are interested or if you want a free profile look over, we will walk you through how to check your analytics and give you kind of a breakdown on the best ways that you can use all the analytics that we talked about today to help improve your own content. And if you want more of this episode, please remember to hit that subscribe button and check us out on all the places that you listen to. I really look forward to you guys coming back to our next podcast episode. We'll hope to see you also inside of our community, Social Circle VIP. Thank you so much, everybody, and I hope you guys have a really great rest of your day.
See you next week.